Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya Revolutionary coming to you for another quick video. I will not stay for long because my question today is a very straightforward question. It's not loaded, and I hope you can answer this question as a Kenyan potential voter in the coming 2027 election or in the coming 2026 elections. Because remember, we might have of the elections next year, 2026, if you were to follow the Constitution. But anyway, regardless, whether we're having it in 2027 or 2026, the question today that I would like to pose to you as Kenyans, especially if you do care about the presidential elections, are these the only people that can run for the presidency in Kenya? I know you might be asking, who am I referring to? Your usual suspect, the same corrupt yesteryear politicians that every electioneering season, every 5 years, they come up with a new manifesto, new political party outfit, selling the same bull crap. Anyway, before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, let's get to the formalities. If this is your first time in this channel, please do me a favor. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and share. Do all the good stuff. If you haven't, this channel talks about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if you like that kind of content, please go ahead and subscribe, share, like, comment, and share. Like I say, if it's not, you can always just watch, or there's plenty of channels out there that you can go visit. For those of you who have already subscribed, the first order of business is to do what? Like the video. And guys, remember that notification bell button. Make sure you hit that notification bell button so you can always be notified whenever I go live, so you can be part of the discussion, whether through in the chat, or sometimes I might drop the link and you can join me in the studio where you can air your view. Today I'll be very brief, so probably I won't get you guys into the studio because I really want to get this off my chest. Now, what's prompted me to actually ask this question today is after I saw a snippet of Kalonzo Musyoka's interview. I don't know with what news channel it was. I don't know if it was KTN, Citizen TV, or whatever the case. The same main or lame street media that was interviewing him. And he was saying, oh, you know what? I'm the only politician who hasn't been embroiled in any kind of scandal. I haven't stolen. I'm not, if I wanted to steal when I was vice president under Kibaki, I would have done so, but I chose not to. But of course, Kalonzo is being disingenuous. He's a liar, outright liar. We know about the Yatas thing back in the 80s when he got some land there through a dodgy deal. But that's not what I'm here for. The real question that I want to ask is this. Don't we as Kenyans ask ourselves that are these the only people who can actually run for presidency? Because you can see what these political corrupt elites of Kenya are trying to make it a two-horse race like they usually do in every electioneering period, where they present you two candidates. Of course, the one candidate that has always been the constant is now deceased. Raila Odinga is no longer with us, so they have to find somebody else who can be challenging the sitting president, who is Ruto. And they probably picked Kalonzo Musyoka, who they are now propping up as the only person who can actually take out Ruto. Now, before I even get to the mechanics of whether Kalonzo Musyoka can take out Ruto or Ruto will beat Kalonzo, whatever the case is, we can argue about that all day. But what I want to really spark in your imagination, in your thinking, in your brain, is this question. Why is it that it's the same faces for the past 30, 20, 40, 50 years in the Kenyan politics, where these guys just keep on trading places, okay? It's a merry-go-round, political merry-go-round. One of them become president, the rest pretend to be opposition. Then some of them shift and join the person who is in the presidency, and some of them stick to their opposition, pretending to be opposition. You see what I'm saying? Because if you look at Kalonzo Musyoka, William Samoei Ruto, And now that it's Israel Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, Matiang'i, all these corrupt politicians, they offer nothing new. They've been in positions of power. They've been entrusted with the monies that the taxpayers pay. And it is now evident that these guys are not straight. They're nothing but colonial stooges, puppets who have stolen taxpayers' money. Okay, regardless of whether they are in, they're part of the state machinery, which they are. Okay, if they're not, they're actually doing business with the state indirectly. Okay, so I want to pose this question to Kenyans: why is it acceptable for these same faces to be coming in every electioneering year, spewing their usual nonsense about new manifesto with new ideas, which are not new? Okay, it's just a copy and paste bullcrap from 5 years ago, or repackaged nonsense like Ruto is trying to repackage or rebrand himself now, talking about Singapore, the new Singapore, and all this nonsense. He went from this hustler narrative, now it's the Singaporean narrative. Okay, so that's why I'm asking: do we not have enough people who are qualified, who are actually people with integrity, people who we can trust, people who cannot fall under the political colonial powers that actually rule Kenya? Are we all corrupt? Are we just doomed? There's nobody can actually challenge the status quo and break from this cycle of recycled, yesteryear, corrupt, proven to be corrupt, irredeemably corrupt politicians? Or we just have to sit there and, because 5 years from now, if Ruto becomes re-elected, 5 years from now, it will be Kalonzo versus, Kindiki. And Matiang'i will be in the mix. Okay? Martha Karua will be in the mix. Wamalwa will be in the mix. Wetangula will be in the mix. It will be the same folks recycled, pretending to be the opposition, or they are holding the state positions, having been in the executive branch of the government or legislative branch of government. It's just a merry-go-round. Look at Wetangula. He started as an MP of I don't know where, Bungoma, whatever the case is. I don't even care. Senator, whatever the case is. Okay? Worked under Kibaki's administration. He was actually a lawyer back then in 1982. I believe he was a lawyer for, is it Ochuka? The guy who got killed in 1982. Okay, so this guy has been in the system for a long time. Then he ended up becoming an MP or senator. Works for as a minister in Kibaki's administration. Okay, became an MP. Now he's a speaker of the house or whatever the case is. And guess what? Don't be surprised if he becomes the vice president in 2027 or whatever the case is, or 2032. Then going nowhere. Same folks doing the same things with the same bullshit, and we get the same bullshit results. Can't we ask for somebody who's an outsider, who actually has fresh ideas, who is actually not tainted? Or is this system designed in a way that you have to be tainted? You have to be involved in this incestuous relationship that these people have in order to stand a chance to have any political leadership of some sort or hold a governmental position. Omugendi, karibu sana. I hope you're doing well. Hopefully there's peace in Uganda. I know there's elections coming up between Uganda's president and the young man, I forgot his name, but I hope it's well and good in Uganda. Nice seeing you, brother. Go ahead and like, share, comment, and do everything that you know. I've seen you've observed the protocol, so thank you so much. Nice seeing you, brother. So again, like I was saying, why is it we have the same folks? Are we not outraged? Are we not at the point where we are outraged enough to come and say, listen, this is unacceptable. We cannot have these same faces again and expect new results. The politics is the same nonsense. Okay? There's all this talk about ODM and who's going to take ODM up and Ruto and all this stuff. you know, like I told you guys, if you're to talk about ODM, that's a Ruto's party now. I mean, the guy was even installed as the new elder, Luo elder. Okay. Oh yeah. It's getting. Mugendi is telling me about what's going on in Uganda, and he's telling it's getting hot. Bobby Wine is giving the old man a run for his money. Ooh, okay. Hopefully he'll be safe, because the old man has a son who won't mind, making things life difficult for Bobby. But we'll be monitored closely the Ugandan elections, and I'll probably do a segment on Uganda. I'll start following Ugandan politics more closely, so we can have a segment here about Ugandan politics. Those are our neighbors, and what happens there might affect what happens in Kenya too. Okay, as you know, for those of you who know, in 2017 and even 2007, in the post-election violence in 2017, it is said that Museveni came to the rescue of Uhuru Kenyatta by sending some of the troops, some of the Uganda army disguised as security forces, Kenya security forces, to help quell the uprising that was happening. And even as recently as 2022, these past elections, okay, there was a Ugandan police officer, actually, security forces, who was his picture was captured and he was identified, as a Ugandan. So what happens at our neighbors' doorstep kind of affects us as Kenyans. So I think I'll start paying more attention to the Ugandan politics, so we can see what's going on. So yeah, Mugendi is saying, let me read this. If Museveni goes down, there will be a new dawn in East African politics. Absolutely. Museveni holds a lot of influence, not just in, Uganda, but outside Uganda, in East Africa in general. Okay, he's the oldest serving president in Eastern Africa. Okay, so yeah, and his influence goes up to even some parts of Rwanda, I believe, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, that's the question that I would like to ask, and I would even dare ask Ugandans too. Like, even though I don't know much how that plays, but I would say the same thing. I'd be like, hey, listen, Uganda, are you okay with Museveni being your president for the next 5-10 years? Aren't we tired of the same face? But let's stick to Kenya, because to be fair, I don't know much the political dynamics in Uganda, so I'll stick to what I know. Why is it acceptable for us to entertain people like Kalonzo and Uhuru and Ruto and Gachagua and Matiang'i and Martha Karua? Why is it that we're entertaining these people if you're a democracy? Or is it a question of money, that you have to have money to actually run for president, so in order for you to actually have a chance to win the presidency? I thought it was democracy. If we have somebody who has good ideas and has a track record of not being a colonial stooge and has some semblance of integrity, why not? Aren't we tired of these same faces? I mean, since 1992, these people have been the same. It's almost like they're acting as if we owe them the presidency, since they've been there for long. Like I told you, if you notice in Kenyan politics right now, the narrative that is being painted, that it's going to be a two-horse race between who? Ruto and Kalonzo. They're preparing, psychologically, they are already preparing you to accept that two-horse race dichotomy. It's always a two-horse race, just like it's Raila versus Ruto, Raila versus Uhuru, Raila versus Kibaki. They have to make it a two-horse race. They don't want to make it like, oh, you know what? There might be a third wave or somebody who's outside the normal political roster that we have, an outsider who might actually disrupt things and actually win the elections. If we are truly a democracy, why can't we have that? Or are these people with integrity are just so distant from the normal politics because they understand how dirty it can get? They might lose their lives, lose their livelihoods, or lose everything, including their lives. Is that the case? Because to be honest with you, I'm personally, I'm tired of this. I was looking at Kalonzo is saying the same stuff. And I'm not saying this because of his Kalonzo. I don't care much about Kalonzo's politics. I know he's a watermelon. He's not standing for it. He does not have a backbone, okay? But to me, again, Kalonzo is no different from Ruto. No difference. The difference is in personality. But as far as his achievements, he's just as corrupt. He's been in the system for what, 30 years, 40 years, whatever the case is. Have been the beneficiary of this corrupt system. Okay? So, to me, when he says that he's not corrupt, just because we haven't really exposed you on, does not mean that you're not corrupt. Good point. It's the same song even here, same faces since 1990. Absolutely. Don't you think that this is done by design? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades. And I've mentioned this in my previous video by telling you, highlighting this fact that the political class, the corrupt political class of Kenya, being that they're sponsored, promoted, and supported by their colonial masters in the West, they have done so by design, gatekeeping this whole political process, electoral process of Kenya, making sure that anybody that runs for the presidency, because remember, I told you, the reason why the presidential seat elections is the most contested one is because whoever is going to be the president, elected to be the president of Kenya, is going to have unbridled power. Is going to have the utmost, the most influence in Kenya, regardless of what the Constitution says. That's why I kept on saying that if you want to change this existing corrupt system, you have to directly confront the head of the snake. There lies the president, the head of the state of the Republic of Kenya. That's why Ruto goes around and, kinyume ya sheria, and says, I'll give money for a new road here in Busia Highway, whatever the case is. I'll go here and give money here. The Constitution does not work that way. The Constitution says that there should be a budget where money is allocated, budgeted for, and we are told how they are going to raise it for roads of different projects all through the country. And if we have to borrow for infrastructural development, we shall do so. But even if we borrow, the budget also tells us how much we can borrow and from who. You understand? So you do not need the head of state to go to a particular county and say, hey, I will give you guys 30 million so you can build a new road here in Makueni. You understand? So the point I'm trying to make is this. And I reiterate my point that I just stated in my previous videos, that I just restated in a few minutes ago, that the presidency, the presidential seat, which is the most powerful seat in the country of Kenya, is the most contested seat because it is the most influential, powerful seat of the land. If you are to get a leader that swears to the Constitution and it's not his job to reinforce the Constitution, but respects the Constitution, then it will have a trickling effect in every public seat, in every arm of the government. But so they have to gatekeep and make sure that a few vetted individuals who are morally bankrupt, irredeemably corrupt, sick, murderous, rapacious thugs who have already been compromised by the West are the ones that are guaranteed to be part of this small clique, a pool of individuals who they will tell us, convince the public that these are the only people who are qualified to run for the presidency in Kenya. And that's why you have the same faces like Martha Karua, Eugene Wamalwa, William Samoei Ruto, Matiang'i, Gachagua, Kalonzo, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, because these people, if they are to be elected, and majority of them, if they are handpicked to be the president of Kenya, of course, they'll rig the process and make them the head of state. It is guaranteed that they'll carry out the wishes of their colonial masters, because from the get-go, they had been vetted. Not only vetted, they have been compromised. The Western powers have something against them. I told you why Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta walked free once they went to ICC when they were accused of committing the most heinous crimes against humanity. The only reason they walked free was that a deal was probably struck between the Western powers, colonial powers, and these two stooges, because the evidence was overwhelmingly against them. But they walked free and, surprise, surprise, rigged themselves to become the head of the state. And the rest is history. That's why a lot of people always say that there was a sharp turn from 2013 to the present day Kenya. The economy took a sharp turn. Corruption ilizidi, and the influence of NGOs and multinational global corporations took over the sovereignty of Kenya. Why? Because this was the deal that was struck in order for Ruto and Uhuru to walk free from the ICC, Hague. And all of a sudden, the witnesses disappeared. Right? So same thing. Just take a quick look, a careful look at these politicians that are presented to you as who belong to this, this small club, a pool of irredeemably corrupt politicians who are, we are told, are the only ones who qualify to run for the presidency in Kenya. Martha Karua and Wetangula. Remember that scandal that they received money from an NGO that is notoriously known to influence and interfere in other countries' elections or political order. A CIA front that gave Martha Karua money and Wetangula. Remember? And you see Martha Karua always makes trips to the US for a bogus speaking engagements. And when she comes back, the first thing she attacks is what? The African ladies or leaders who are against the West, i.e. Suluhu. And look, she's one of the people who are said to be, oh, she can run for president. She wants to model herself as a possible first female Kenyan leader, woman president of Kenya. Of course, people know how corrupt and arrogant she is, and deeply tribalistic. A nasty, nasty woman. Okay? Same thing with the Wetangula. Compromised. We know about the scandal surrounding Wetangula, with the gold scandal when he was selling gold to the illegal gold from Congo to UAE. You had the phone call, the leaked phone call. Matiang'i, should I say more? This guy works for World Bank. I mean, if you work for World Bank, you might as well just, give the British Prime Minister fellatio. That's how sold out you are. And this is the guy who wants to run for president in Kenya. Totally a sellout. Corrupt to the core. It's not even funny. Ruto, do I need to say more? Did I say more? Okay. Who else? Give me a name, I'll tell you. Kalonzo Musyoka. Next one. Remember when he was pretending to be a diplomatic person flying all over, whatever the case is? Corrupt to the core. Sellout. Gachagua. Okay? Another one. So if you study these people we are being convinced that these are from this pool of irredeemably corrupt politicians, these are the people who can actually run for president. If you look at their background, you can see how compromised they are. There's nothing to them. They're empty suits. They're hollow. Intellectually malnourished. Flat-footed pretenders. Charlatans. Okay? That's why you see from just like Mugendi told me, in the country since 1990, it's the same faces. It's the same thing in Kenya. Same faces. Every year, wanakuja na a new party, mara Wiper, mara Wiper sijui nini, UDA, Jubilee, TNA, ODM, sijui NAC, mara sijui nini. Same nonsense. Sijui People's Party, sijui People's Liberation Party, sijui nini, Safina, Sakaja, Sasirwale, sijui nini. Just nonsense. That's why I pose. Can we challenge them and say, hey, we don't want any of you corrupt political class to run for president. Ruto, we don't want you. Kalonzo, we don't want you. Gachagua, we don't want you. We want something new. But hey, Kama has this way of dealing with things. Like I say, 2027 might be the year where Kenyans decide enough is enough. And it might be sparked by the fact that Ruto is basically going to declare himself president after the rigging of the 2027 presidential elections. And after that is when we shall decide, we shall find out if Kenyans are truly sick and tired of being sick and tired of being fooled around, played with, exploited, killed, maimed, tortured, jailed by this corrupt political class of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades, I'll leave it here. My name is Kenyan Revolutionary. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you. Thank you, Mugendi, for being with me. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'm out.